Alright, let's see how we can fix this dynamic code evaluation error which happens to be in your Vercel environment. So I came across this kind of situation when I try to deploy my Next.js application to the Vercel, and here I used Mongoose database to connect and store data and retrieve data. So the main reason for this is this kind of dynamic code evaluations like eval, new function, those kind of things are not allowed in Edge runtime. So what you should know here is this Edge runtime is slightly different from Node.js runtime. So this Edge runtime doesn't have the full capacity what a normal Node.js runtime has. So what you should remember is there are a few files that runs on the Edge runtime in Vercel. So specifically middleware.ts file. So this runs on Edge runtime. So if you use these kind of eval, new function, this kind of dynamic code evaluations inside your middleware.ts, knowingly or unknowingly, you'll face with this dynamic code evaluation error. So what happens in my case is I used Mongoose inside the middleware.ts file, and Mongoose use these dynamic code evaluation methods when schema validation, when query building, and so on. So because of that reason, I came up with this error. So it's very easy to fix. What you have to do is you have to move this file which uses, in my case it's specifically this user model.ts, whatever the functions that use database models, database queries, and those stuff to your API route. So that's what I did. So in my code, if I go to middleware.ts file, so here I use this auth.ts file. So this is used inside the middleware.ts file, and unfortunately I used this add user email, which is calling to the database, doing some queries and saving users emails in the database. Also I use that endpoint to save and communicate with the Mongoose database. So without calling this function directly, what you have to do is you have to move this into your API endpoint. So I use that moved that function to this API folder, inside the API folder, and use this as a normal Next.js API route. So inside the route.ts, I can access all these user models and everything. So this runs properly on the Node.js runtime. This is outside of middleware.ts file. So you can fix it by moving those files inside the API routes. And one thing you should remember is when you are calling this endpoint, API endpoint, don't just use the relative paths. So this middleware, this auth.ts file, this runs on the server. So this relative path doesn't seem to work in that kind of scenarios. So what you have to do is you have to use the full URL. So here I have used an environment variable to give the proper URL. So when I'm doing it in locally, this will be a localhost port 3000 or localhost file, but once it deploy, this will be your deployed URL or deployed domain. So yeah, that's how you can fix this very common dynamic code evaluation error, and you can get more information from this Next.js documentation as well. So that's how I fixed this dynamic code evaluation error in my full stack Next.js project.